Welcome back to Freda Chando Analysis, ladies and gentlemen. Nataka kusema santeni sana kwa wale ambao wamenisupport. Those who have supported me in one way or the other. I'm deeply humbled. Now, Kenya is making international headlines, and this time round for positive reasons. It is not because our rugby team has beaten Fiji or because our athletes have won marathon in Sydney. It is because our former president, the peace-loving Uhuru Kenyatta, is traversing Africa to ensure that there is peace and tranquility in the nations where there is war. He started by going to Burundi, where there were factions that were fighting, and he brokered a truce. And when he jetted out, they raised peace in that country. And then, instead of going to Ichaweri, where we thought we were sending him to, our former president went to Congo, and he is busy meeting the warring factions. And he wants to ensure that by the time he gets out, maybe to come back to Kenya or to fly to another warring country, there will be what I call peace and tranquility. And ladies and gentlemen, I just love the way Mr. Uhuru is doing his peacemaking. He does not sit in some posh hotels like other leaders would go there. He's not holding those meetings with peace. What he does is that he walks directly to the people who are suffering, because when there is a war, there are IDPs, internally displaced persons within the country. So I saw Mr. President going to feel firsthand how the IDPs feel, and he was asking them questions with a lot of compassion and empathy. Just take a look at the video and you'll understand exactly what I'm talking about, ladies and gentlemen.
Tunalala nje, hatuna tabashi. Nimeona, nimejionea. Ndio, hakuna. Tunateseka sana ndani ya nchi. Yo. Acha mama pite. Wewe mshushuesi. Yes. Vita ishe tuke nyumba. Vita ishe tuke kwa kingufu. Wanashika vijana wanaweka kwa vikundi. Kwa nguvu. Ndio maana tunakuja hapa. Tunatoroka kuja upande huu. Ndio. Njia hapo ndani ya pori. Wamepotea njia wa vijana ambao wanatoka Ruto. Kwa sababu ya kulazimishwa njia kwenye yao.
And then after listening to them and interacting with them, he had a session with one of the journalists in one of the stations in Congo. And the president had this message to the Congolese: stop tribalism. Just take a look at this.
Kwa taifa lenu, ni jukumu la kila Mkongo kujua ya kwamba usiangalie kabila ya mwenzako. Uangalie kwa makini uaminifu wako kwa nchi yako, uzalendo wako kwa nchi yako, na ujue ya kwamba mkitaka mema lazima muungane na mshirikiane na mfanye kazi pamoja. Bunduki na risasi italeta tu madhara, haiwezi waletee maendeleo, haiwezi waletee utajiri. Utajiri wenu utanyanyaswa na wengine.
I want to believe that that message is not only meant to Congo. That message was also meant to Kenyans, Africa, and the world as a whole. You see, we still do our politics along tribal lines. You are a Kikuyu, a Luo, a Kamba, Luya, Kalenjin. We coalesce around our ethnic cocoons to fight our political goals. But what amazes me is that whenever there is drought and hunger, Drought and hunger do not choose that you are a Luo or a Kamba. It does not. It will strike irrespective of your ethnic affiliation. Recently, we've been fighting insecurity in the country. When robbers come and they want to cause mayhem, they will not first ask you on the streets when you are walking at night which tribe you are. They will pounce on you. Yet when we do our politics, we still coalesce around our ethnic cocoons. And the president was sending this message to Kenyans, ladies and gentlemen. Former President Uhuru Muigai Kenyatta has had three significant political milestones in his life. The first one was in 2002, when his mentor, the late President Toroitich Arap Moi, proposed him to become the president of Kenya, and he was facing his senior, Emilio Stanley Mwai Kibaki. Kenyans were tired of the Moi regime, and so they voted Uhuru out and voted in Mwai Kibaki, not because they did not like Uhuru, but Uhuru was then seen as a project of the Nyayo, and so they sent him away. A story is told very briefly, ladies and gentlemen, that after the results were out and it was clear that the Kibaki team was winning, there is a group of politicians who did not want Uhuru Kenyatta to concede defeat, and they told Moi to stick and hang on. You see, Moi had ruled for 24 years, and he had built his political and military base in Kenya. He was the head of state. And you see, for 24 years, if you've been there, you still have soldiers who are loyal to you. And so they told Moi not to hand over power to the then president or president-elect Emilio Stanley. But Moi called Uhuru Kenyatta and he told him, go and concede defeat. Uhuru Kenyatta hurriedly went there and conceded defeat. And then Moi called his troop, the younger politicians whom he had groomed and those whom he had been with 24 years, and he told them, I'm going to Uhuru Park. It was very chaotic. People were singing Yote Yawezekana Bila Moi. We can do without Moi. They were tired. It was a revolution. And they were asking Moi, how are you going there? It is chaotic. It's going to be mayhem. There's going to be a lot of mayhem. And Moi told them, stay behind. I'm going there alone. And Moi went there with his motorcade and handed over power amidst a lot of noise and insults and everything that was inside there. It was chaotic. But he handed power. So Uhuru Kenyatta was watching as a young politician being groomed, taken from the prince house in the Kenyatta family, the first founding father. So later when he became the president, he knew the importance of peace in a country. Because if Moi had decided not to hand over power, he would have set a very poor precedent. Because every leader who comes in would have tried the same to hang on to power even when they are defeated. And in 2007, when there was a controversy, the results were controversial, and the ODM contested those results that were announced by the then ECK chairman, Kivuitu Samuel. There was war in the country, and majorly the Kikuyu was fighting the Kalenjins. And ladies and gentlemen, Uhuru was at the height of it. That is why Uhuru and William Ruto were taken to The Hague to answer charges against humanity, crimes against humanity. And Uhuru looked at it and he embraced the importance of peace. Peace that we are enjoying, but we do not understand its meaning. We take it for granted. Those who are there in 2007 will tell you just how difficult it was. Because when people are fighting, we have got IDPs. You can't walk out. Njaa iko, huwezi enda kununua, because there are no people to even sell. So Uhuru Kenyatta learned, and that is why ever since, Uhuru has tried to be a peaceful man. We all know he's got his weaknesses, but he learned. And that is why later in 2017, he reached out to Raila Amolo Odinga and they had a handshake that is being viewed in two coins. There are those who feel that it was wrong for the country. But if you walk around and listen to people, who understands war and peace, they will tell you that handshake was the best thing that has ever happened to Kenya. Because for that, for the very first time, William Ruto ascended to power without anyone going to the streets. I'm telling you, ask anybody, if there was no handshake, it would have been very difficult. Because I'm telling you, wafuasi wa Raila, those who follow Raila Odinga, would have not sit back and watch when Jose Camargo was caught at the JKA, the Jomo Kenyatta International Airport, by the DCI, and a forensic audit was done, and it shows that they were infiltrating the servers and they were caught with some gadgets. It would have been chaotic, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm not playing petty politics. I know we have moved on and I'm preaching peace, but I'm just saying that the peace that we are preaching, even as far as Congo, we should embrace it. Let us not take it for granted. So, because of this handshake, the international community and the Africa as a whole looked at Uhuru Kenyatta and they said, this is the man who can broker peace. Because when he meets those warring countries, he will tell them, I shook hands with my bitter political nemesis Raila Amolo Odinga. And so, ladies and gentlemen, what Uhuru Kenyatta is doing is the best thing that should happen to this country. He is making us proud. But did you know that when there is war in your neighboring country, there is war in your country too? There is no peace. Because, for one, there will be an influx of IDPs. There will be, like now, Kenya is holding one of the Kakuma. Kakuma is the, how do we call them? Where those who are fighting would run from their country. Refugee camps. I mean, there will be an influx of IDPs and refugees. So it is always good, because I believe today even Kakuma is almost being overstretched. And we would love to have peace in our neighboring countries, in Burundi, in Rwanda, in Tanzania, wherever. When there is chaos in your neighboring countries, ladies and gentlemen, you cannot do business. You cannot, for example, send Mr. Murkomen, who's the Minister of Trade, to go to Congo when they're fighting. Congo is rich of minerals, but Africans cannot enjoy this. We cannot do bilateral and multilateral trades between and among ourselves when there is war. We cannot enjoy African trade. And that is the reason why Uhuru Kenyatta is trying all he can, with all his might, to ensure that there is peace in Congo. He chaired the introduction of expansion of East Africa to include Congo. And so he's still continuing that. He's perpetuating that peace to ensure that when they are welcome to East Africa, they will be a peaceful nation. Ladies and gentlemen, do you really understand what peace is? When there is war in the neighboring countries, there is a lot of proliferation of guns. Just the other day, the president was in Kabarnet, in Baringo, and you understood that the gist of everything there was about bandits, the Pokots and Marakwets fighting, and they have been given amnesty to return their guns. We have tried this all over and over again to ensure that we disarm them. But we cannot succeed as long as we have our borders open. You see, when neighbors are fighting, it's easy to get guns into our country. And so when there is peace within our neighbors or among our neighbors, ladies and gentlemen, we are also at peace. The Pokot will not get guns very easily. Once we disarm them, it will not be very easy to get them from the neighboring countries. And this is the reason why Mr. Uhuru Kenyatta is trying all his best to ensure that we have tranquility in our neighboring countries. And so is Kenya. And so the message that he keeps on preaching while in Congo is to ensure that we have peace back at home. There is no way he's going to convince people that they should have peace, yet we are fighting. And this is the reason why careless talks like we remove the term limit should not be entertained. I'm glad that the president yesterday said that that is a very parochial kind of motive, and it cannot happen under his watch. Even though very many people think that he had tested waters and he knows what Kenyans are thinking, I want to laud him that even if he was testing waters, he's realized that Kenyans are not ready. We cannot mutilate the constitution and we cannot go back to where we came from, ladies and gentlemen. We fought so hard to have a new constitution, and the president took oath to protect that constitution. The day he was being sworn in, I saw him with a sword on one side and a constitution. And I believe that under the presidency of William Ruto, we shall not mutilate our constitution, but we'll even make it better for posterity, to serve our children. Long after we are gone, we want to leave a nation that will be peaceful to our nation, ladies and gentlemen. I don't know what you think, but I want to believe that God should protect Kenya so that we can enjoy our peace. And don't take that peace for granted, ladies and gentlemen. Please share with me your thoughts on this. Thanks very much. I'm Fred Achando. Kindly subscribe if you're watching for the first time.